How's it going, everybody? It's Royalty Crypto here, and welcome back to my channel. So today was an absolutely massive day in terms of the macro economy, and as most of you know, we did have the FOMC meeting take place just a couple of hours ago, and I wanted to talk about what happened in that meeting, and I also wanted to discuss some details that a lot of people are overlooking at the moment that I believe are incredibly important for not only Bitcoin and crypto, but basically all financial markets for the coming months. And guys, before I get into all of that, this is a brand new YouTube channel, so I would greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's take a look at this market. The Federal Reserve decided to cut interest rates by 25 basis points today. This was pretty much priced into the market, as there was a 90% likelihood that this was going to happen. So in my opinion, that's why we didn't really see the prices of these assets move very much, because this aspect wasn't a surprise. However, guys, when you take a look at what Jerome Powell actually said during his press conference, is he stated that he is going to begin to buy back $40 billion worth of treasury bills starting December 12th, which is just 2 days from now, and the buybacks are expected to remain elevated for the next few months. So although he didn't classify this as QE, it basically is QE, and I believe it should be treated as such, because he is essentially stimulating the markets with these buybacks. And also, from what I've seen in his meeting and just a couple of other articles, is that we will be buying back $40 billion worth of treasury bills every single month until April, and then once we do get to April, they will reevaluate and decide on whether or not they should continue buying at that pace or slow it down or potentially even speed it up. But we won't be going back into quantitative tightening, and I do believe that that is important to recognize. So overall, guys, this FOMC meeting was incredibly bullish compared to what I was anticipating, and I think a lot of people just haven't quite realized that yet. So in my opinion, I'm not surprised that we've seen such volatility today to the up and downside, but I do expect the rest of December to actually remain bullish now that we have more clarity on quantitative easing and potentially when we will be seeing our next rate cut. And as you can see here, there is a 22% chance of seeing another rate cut in January, but based on what Jerome Powell had mentioned in his speech, it is very likely that we will see at least one more rate cut before the April meeting. So in my opinion, guys, this is very bullish risk on assets, especially for the medium term, and I think once we do officially start buying back these treasury bills, I do think this will be a very nice tailwind for risk on assets like crypto. So with all that being said, let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. So as you guys can see, we are currently trading at 92,200, and we did have two pretty dramatic pumps throughout the day. We had one leading into the FOMC meeting, and then once the 25 basis point rate cut was announced, and we did get to as high as 94,200, and then we had another smaller pump to about 93,600, and that was during Jerome Powell's press conference. But we are now back down to 92,200. But I think once, the volatility starts to wear off from this FOMC event, I do expect to regain some bullish momentum. And as you can see on this chart, we have two lines up here that represent heavy levels of resistance. The first line we have been able to break past just a little bit. However, we do keep getting rejected. So what I would like to see on the Bitcoin chart over the next couple days is for us to break up to at least the $96,000 range and test the top end of this resistance level, and then hopefully, guys, we can break above that and then get back to around 100,000 or potentially more in the short term. The $100,000 range is a psychological resistance level, and then there is quite a bit of resistance above it from about 102,000 to as high as 106,000. But I do think that now that we have a little bit more clarity on the upcoming rate cuts and quantitative easing, I do think this will help Bitcoin regain that bullish momentum that we have been looking for quite some time. And when you zoom out on the chart, guys, we have a lot of room to potentially go, as our all-time high is at 126,700, and we're currently trading about 20% lower than that at 92,000. So I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if sometime early to mid 2026 we actually do retest these highs for Bitcoin. And of course, if you're holding any altcoins, that would be when you could reasonably expect to see some momentum back in the altcoin space and that potential altcoin season that we've been waiting on for a long time. But alright, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Just remember to stay strong, stay bullish, and ignore the FUD, and I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. Peace.